IELTS Writing Academic Lesson 6. Academic IELTS Writing Task 1. In this task you need to describe or summarize visualized data, such as graph, chart, table, diagram, process or scheme. You should write at least 150 words in this task. IELTS Writing Task 6 Sample, Academic. You should spend about 20 minutes on this task. Summarize the information by selecting and reporting on the main characteristics, and make comparisons where relevant. Write at least 150 words. The graph below shows the pollution levels in London between 1600 and 2000. Summarize the information by selecting and reporting the main features, and make comparisons where relevant. Write at least 150 words. Now study closely the line graph. Model answer. The graph shows pollution levels in London between 1600 and 2000. It does this by measuring smoke and sulfur dioxide in micrograms per cubic meter. According to the information, it can be seen that the levels of both pollutants followed similar patterns during this period, but there were always higher levels of sulfur dioxide than smoke in the atmosphere. In 1600, pollution levels were relatively low, but over the next 100 years, the levels of sulfur dioxide rose steeply to 700 micrograms per cubic meter, while the levels of smoke rose only gradually to about 200 micrograms per cubic meter. Over the next 200 years the levels of sulfur dioxide continued to increase, although this increase was not linear and experienced certain fluctuations culminating in a peak in 1850. Smoke levels increased a little more sharply during this time and peaked in 1900 at about 500 micrograms. During the 20th century, the levels of both pollutants fell dramatically, though this fall was characterized by constant ebbs and troughs. It is obvious that air pollution was a bigger problem in London in the early 20th century than it is now. IELTS, Writing Task 2, Essay. You will be presented with a specific topic and asked to write an 250-word essay about it. It is advisable to spend about 40 minutes on it. You should spend about 40 minutes on this task. Write about the following topic: modern communications mean that it's no longer necessary to write letters. To what extent do you agree or disagree with this statement? Give reasons for your answer and include any relevant examples from your own knowledge or experience. Write at least 250 words. Model answer. I do not think that it is no longer necessary to write letters, but that people just have not got the time or indeed the skill. Writing a letter requires a level of reflection that other forms of modern communication do not. It is a shame, but since we have developed faster and more direct ways of contacting people, personal mail has become relatively rare. It is true that in many cases where our parents would have written a letter, we automatically go to pick up the phone, to email or even to text instead. These are perfectly acceptable ways of sending out invitations to friends or exchanging news with a family member. They have the advantage that the communication is immediate but I can't help feeling that people no longer communicate what they feel. There is more quantity of communication but perhaps less quality. Having said that, there are still times when there is no other alternative to a formal letter. They are more fitting for occasions when they are likely to be kept and reread, perhaps several times, by the recipient, as with formal letters of thanks or sympathy. It is always a good thing to leave a trace of communications, as people are often forgetful or in bad faith. Letters provide a written record, unlike telephone calls, so they are also a better way of setting out an important or complex argument, as in official complaints or legal matters. To sum up, modern communication methods are more suitable to modern-day life, but letters are still valid for legal matters or matters of the heart. 248 words.